Alright, and welcome back to the forecast card. Unfortunately, 1 and 2 in baseball. I kind of got screwed in all three sports today. A lot of bullshit backdoors, really unlucky efficiency results. Just a lot of shit did not go my way today. I still really think I capped the games today well, but the results really didn't reflect it. Reds, basically backdoor. They were the better team all game. 7 left on base compared to the Giants only leaving 2 on base. They're winning by 1 with in the top of the ninth. Giants have 2 outs. All you have to do is get Patrick Bailey out. There's 2 people on base. Unfortunately, he gets a single, and then Wilmer Flores hits a home run. They end up getting 4 runs in their last possible out after scoring 2 runs for the other 26 outs. So, really unfortunate that the Cardinals bullpen kind of imploded, or the Reds bullpen, sorry. That game really fucking sucked. Cardinals first 5 pretty sweat free. They're up 4-0 going into the 5th. Of course, kind of had to somehow get sweaty because I cannot have a not sweaty bet nowadays. Where the Twins put up a 2-run home run, then get a guy on base. Luckily, a double play ends up happening, but there was a chance there I got backdoored easily, which would have been really shitty. Because that's basically all the runs they got the entire game. Was in that one inning. And then Diamondbacks, yeah, this one really sucked. Arizona took like a really early lead, but Zach Gallen really struggled. Again, Hunter just still did have a good game. He had 6 hits, 3 earned runs, but Gallen just kept giving up some really rough hits at the worst time. He ended up with a 9 ERA. Steele had an 8 ERA, but both starting pitchers really sucked. But the bullpen for the Diamondbacks just completely imploded. They all fucking sucked. Rin Nelson gave up 4 earned runs with a 21 ERA. Jarvis 10 ERA. In Chicago, they were all elite. 1 earned run, 0 earned run, 2 earned runs. Just the bullpen arms really were a bit better here for the Cubs. So. Even if I think if I took first 5, I don't think it would have cashed either way, right? Yeah, the Cubs were leading 7-3 going into the 6th, so just a bad pick for me. I really expected more from Gallen after his history with the Cubs, and he really didn't play that badly. The bullpen ended up giving up 6 runs, so we'll take the L. It is what it is. But let's move on to the 5 games that I like for tomorrow. All right, heading on to game number 1, we have Boston versus Texas. Red Sox versus the Rangers. I really like the first 5 over in this one. Obviously, both these teams, you typically your first game sometimes teams come out hot, sometimes they come out slow. The Rangers, but Red Sox, they only put up 7 points last game. Obviously, both teams were playing their aces. Bullpens were fully rested. Pretty expected, but they still put up 7 runs in that game. With 4 of them coming in the first inning. So all we really need is 1 additional run. Now that the bats are kind of warmed up, with significantly worse pitching. Again, the pitchers that are starting this game is Jack Leiter and Tanner Houck. Tanner Houck has been a pretty mediocre pitcher, especially against the Rangers. Historically, over 62 at-bats, he's given up 18 hits, 4 home runs, an average of 290, an OPS of 954. So he's really struggled against this Texas lineup. And on the other side, we have Jack Leiter, who, only a 24-year-old young pitcher, played a bit last year, and he was terrible last year. He had 35 innings, 10 ERA at home, 7 ERA on the road. I guess you could say he's been pitching a little bit better in 2024 in the G League, but he's still putting up like a 4 ERA against much worse hitters. I think this Rangers team is going to be pretty upset with themselves, only putting up 2 runs last game. I think both these teams are going to come out hot. I have this modeled as a 6 runs in the first 5. Again, both these bullpens have some good arms, that's why I don't really want to bet it. Weather's going to be decent for runs in Globe Life Field. I think the roof's going to be closed, so it's just going to be the normal environment in Globe Life, which isn't too bad for hits. So, I think these 2 pitchers are really bad. I think we can see a lot of runs early, especially after both both teams didn't really do much in the first game. So give me the first 5 over 4.5. All right, heading on to game number 2, we have the Astros versus the Mets. Now this is gonna be a really fun one because they've had a pretty tight matchup here. Obviously, both teams playing arguably the two aces, Valdez and Holmes. With Sean Manaea out, I guess Holmes is their new ace for now. But Tyler McGill, he really hasn't been very good, especially on the road. Last year, he put up a 4.8 ERA on the road. In his 2023 year, he put up a 6.07 ERA on the road. He looked decent in his very few innings that he pitched in spring training, but again, that really doesn't mean much, if I'm being honest. On the other side, Hunter Brown, he's been improving year over year. He didn't necessarily have a great start to his inning, but he did throw 2 perfect innings. Wasn't perfect. He gave up 2 walks and a hit, but he really didn't look that bad. He, of course, locked in when runners did get on base, and he's really only improved year over year. Last year at home, he put up a 3.35 ERA, pretty solid. He really improved his walks and his home runs given up. I think with another year under his belt, he's only going to get better. If you look statistically here, looking at the last few months of last year, Houston was a top 10 team against right-handed pitching when at home, which of course is the matchup we're getting here. And then on the other side, this Mets team, they were a bottom 5 team against right-handed pitchers when playing on the road. So both of these lineups haven't changed too much. Obviously, there's 2 massive differences with Soto joining the Mets and Houston losing Kyle Tucker. So you could argue that's a problem. But again, Mets offense looked really bad yesterday. Obviously, you can't expect that all the time. But I think the Astros here can lock in. I think the Mets bullpen's a little bit too good. But I think Hunter Brown here and the Astros can go into the 6th inning with a lead. So give me the Astros first half minus 0.5, minus 110. All right, that brings us to game number 3. We have the Cubs versus the D-backs. This is going to be a really, really fun one as well. Again, 2 offenses that finished off the year last year, probably 2 of the best, and they've kind of continued it. They went into their matchup yesterday, scoring 16 runs. Obviously, I was on the D-backs yesterday. Pretty shitty that the Cubs' offense was that good, but the offense was solid. Both teams, they put up 21 hits together. Both pitchers were pretty mid, giving up 9 walks. And now we're getting, in my opinion, 2 really bad pitchers. Taillon, historically, has played well against the D-backs, but this D-backs team is only improved. They have a ton of lefties, which is kind of Taillon's weakness. If you look at James Taillon in general, when pitching on the road, he's being really, significantly worse. Last year, he had almost a sub-2 ERA at home, 4.58 on the road. Historically, over his entire career, he's been quite bad. And again, he really struggles against lefties, giving up a batting average of .20-ish more against lefties. And D-backs lefties are kind of the most dangerous group of the 2. On the other side, Merrill Kelly, in my opinion, one of the worst pitchers. I know he sometimes looks good, but he's just a very mid pitcher to me. He didn't really pitch much last year. He only pitched 70 innings. But at home, he hasn't been great. 4 ERA. He gives up a lot of home runs. Doesn't really strike out a ton. And in this matchup, we're going to have some pretty, again, not a crazy environment. We're going to have Chase Field, a decent stadium that does produce a lot of runs, especially, down the middle, which is where these kind of teams hit a ton. I project this to be a 9.5 point game. Both these pitchers have been really bad. But the biggest reason I like this game, like I mentioned, at home, Arizona last year, finishing it off, they had a WRC plus of the last 3 months of 131 against right-handed pitching when at home. And on the other side, this Cubs team finished off the year on the road as the 2nd best team on the road against righties with a 140 WRC plus over 683 pitch attempts, or plate appearances, rather. So clearly, this is a team that both these teams can hit righties really well. Both teams only made improvements from last year to their rosters. I think the starting 5 of both of these rosters are insane. Even you still have Pavin Smith and Nico Horner that kind of finished off last year really hot. So I'm expecting to see a ton of runs this game. Obviously, it's possible that these pitchers lock in, but I don't really love either of these bullpens that much either. And we both saw both bullpens gave up a few runs. So I'm expecting a kind of a similar result here. So give me over 8.5 in the Cubs versus D-backs. All right, brings us to our first dog. I really like this Mariners team. They kind of barely squeaked in a win yesterday against the Athletics. It was a 2-4 game. They were down going in to the bottom of the 8th, where they finally got 3 runs to end up covering the -1.5. But they only got 5 hits. Obviously, the Mariners were playing Logan Gilbert and a super elite pitcher. Oakland was playing Severino. He had a really good game, but yeah, I really like this Jeffrey Springs. And Mariners, if you look at their stats last year, when at home versus lefties, Seattle really wasn't that great. They had a sub 100 WRC plus. The Athletics, which is more important, they finished the year off actually hitting really well. Obviously, their roster is much worse than it was last year, but they were still a top 5 team against right-handed pitching when going on the road last year to end it off. And Springs, on paper, had a pretty solid start, and finished off the year pretty good. Obviously, he was with the Rays last year, where he had not a great xFIP. I think it was around 4.5 on the road. Let me confirm that. Yeah, sorry, 4.3 on the road. So honestly, not bad for an xFIP, especially on the road. On the other side, obviously, you know that Luis Castillo is elite. He has the ability to throw no-hitters. He's one of the better pitchers. But again, I don't really trust this Mariners bullpen. The Athletics have a decent bullpen, despite everything else that kind of sucks on their team. They still have some young studs. They still have their elite, their first 5 are pretty good. They have Shea Langelier, J.J. Bleday, Brent Rooker. Obviously, Lawrence Butler was insane last year. And they still have big arms. They got Max Muncy kind of in the back end. You never know when he's going to hit a bomb. Obviously, Seattle has also a very elite team, but a lot of their team is kind of made up of has-beens that really didn't have a great year. J-Rod had a bad year last year. Cal Raleigh had a bad year last year. Randy Arozarena is super hit or miss. Mitch Garver had a terrible year last year. This team just offensively is really bad, especially at night. It seems like this could be either team's game. And if both pitchers pitch decently well, I think the Mariners here, or the Athletics, have the ability to just get a few runs from some home runs, and that ends up being the difference here. Luke is still obviously super elite, but he's still a pitcher that gives up a decent amount of walks and home runs. And again, he's a very good pitcher, like a 3 ERA pitcher, but who really knows what you're going to get? He had a pretty solid spring training, but he didn't really pitch very much. He allowed 3 homers in the 12 innings that he pitched. Again, Athletics have some people that can hit bombs, and if he's not pitching well to start off this year, Athletics get like two runs even off him, I think that's enough to end up winning this game. So maybe Athletics here to get their 1 win, plus 140 here on the road against the Seattle Mariners. All right, and after that bet, let's go fully chalk here. I'm going to take the Dodgers here on the run line. It's probably a team that if you do bet, you're always going to basically always have to take the run line because they have such a stacked-ass roster. But today, they didn't look really impressive at all. I think they only end up winning that game by 1. But now we got Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, both in the lineup. Their team's looking insane again. Obviously, Jack Flaherty is a good pitcher, but he played with the Dodgers last year, and you could argue maybe he's coming to revenge. But I think the Dodgers are going to be really familiar with what kind of pitches he does throw. And Yamamoto is insane. I genuinely believe that Yamamoto has a very solid opportunity here to become probably a Cy Young, if not this year, in the next couple years. Obviously, he's competing against some elite pitchers that have been in the league for a while now. But man, he is so good, and he's so fun to watch. I think the Detroit Bats are going to struggle a bit. Dodgers, obviously, still an elite offense. Last year, they finished off the year 5th best against righties at home. And they've only improved their roster since then. Detroit, on the other side, also pretty decent last year against righties. But again, this Dodgers offense, you got Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Hernandez, Muncy, Smith, Conforto, even Edman and Pages is elite. The Detroit's kind of, their top 4 are good, but Spencer Torkelson had a down year last year. They got Jake Rogers, Trey Sweeney, Kreidler. Again, these are people that yeah, they can sometimes go off, but they have really massive whiffs. And I guess if Riley Green and Gleyber Torres aren't getting hits, and I think Yamamoto is going to be able to completely shit on this lineup, I think it's going to be a blowout game. I think it's going to be still a low scoring game. I think it's going to be like a 5-2, 4-1, 6-2 kind of game. Probably even less than that, but I think the Dodgers end up winning this game by 2 after a pretty tight contest yesterday. But this team is just way too good, and whenever you're getting this kind of guy on the mound, I'm gonna rock with the Dodgers. So give me Dodgers -1.5 plus 110. All right, and those are my 5 bets that I'm running with tomorrow. Obviously not a great first day, but again, I think some bad luck. I think it'll bounce back today. Just to recap: Red Sox vs Rangers first 5 over 4.5. Astros first half run line. Cubs vs Diamondbacks over 8.5. Athletics money line plus 140, and Dodgers run line plus 110. In terms of leans, I think the Rays blow up Freeland. He's been a kind of a shaky pitcher. He pitches much better at home, so I think with the altitude change, the Rays are one of those teams. Again, they went on like a 12-game win streak that one year to start the season. I think they can come out hot again, especially against a pretty mediocre Colorado team. The Jays looked terrible yesterday. Absolutely awful. Gausman, you don't really know what you're going to get with him. But Eflin played insanely well yesterday. I think the Jays, now that they have Santander in that locker room, he's known to be like a pretty good motivating player in his team you want on your side. I think he's going to hype up that team, and the bats are going to get hot tomorrow. Marlins, first 5 plus 0.5. They got a rookie pitching. I trust him more than Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller is so bad on the road. Terrible pitcher. He's obviously a high K pitcher, but if he's not on his game, he's not on his game, and he can give up 5 runs in an inning. So I think the Marlins have a chance to get to him, and the Pittsburgh maybe struggles with limited data on this new fresh guy. Red Sox. I don't really know much about this game. I'm just gonna lean that Hook's a better pitcher here. Yeah, not much. The Texas bats did not impress me yesterday, but I think that's basically a true coin flip game. So you can go either way on that one. Padres, I do lean them here. Obviously, the Braves threw away a lead, and the Padres ended up winning that game 7-4 yesterday. But man, Dylan Cease has the ability to strike out like 7 innings straight. Like, he is really, really good when he's on, and he looked really good in spring training. His arm looked like it hasn't really missed a beat. So I think it's going to be tough for this Braves team. Still shorthanded without Acuna Jr. I think the Padres get to them and ends up winning back-to-back games. And Cubs first 5, I think, again, I think Tyon historically has been pretty good against the D-backs. And this Cubs offense may roll a bit off that momentum from last game and then kind of go cold later on. So not really confident in that one, but it would be a lean. But yeah, that's everything for today. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully we end up in the green column for tomorrow. But yeah, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Cheers.